Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football. This is the Draft Prospect Show. Vincent Turner and Harper LaBelle with you. Logan Landers is our producer and engineer, and Logan's not going to be with us. Why? Because he's too slow. Vincent, you're too slow. I'm too slow. Everybody, when you compare what we're looking at right here, this little guy out of Delaware, he's out of Salisbury, Maryland. His name is Marcus Yarns. You haven't heard about him yet, but you're going to. When you look at 40 times at the combine, I can pretty much guarantee you, and Vincent, I believe you'll agree with me, that one of the fastest times is going to come out of the legs of this young man. Marcus can absolutely fly. We'll talk about his stats. We'll talk about that he's a little too small. We'll talk about he's from a small school. But what I think he has right now inside of him is a heart that says, okay, you're going to overlook me one more time? Not going to happen in the NFL level. I'm going to make somebody's team.
Harper LaBelle. I love this football player right here. I love him because his height 5'11", what is he? 5'11", 183. But I'm going to say this, Harp. Home run ability.
Yep.
Barry Bonds. Hank Aaron. The great Babe Ruth. Back to you, Harp.
Kind of a Tyreek Hill type guy for me in that, you know what, every time he touches the ball, he can take it to the house. The first thing that I see about him in any scouting report is your incredible speed, just incredible. Now, here's a look at his stats over the past couple of years. Back in 24, right? So we're looking at it as if this past season was a year ago. He had 133 carries for 844 yards. He was averaging 6.3 yards per carry. He had 6 touchdowns. 17 receptions for 295 or 17 and a half yards every time the ball was in there from a back. 5 touchdowns there. He was the first team all CAA conference in 2024 and a second team in 2023. Here's what he did a year ago. Well, actually 2 years ago now. 135 carries for 940 yards. He averaged 7 yards a carry. He had 15 touchdowns. 24 receptions for 300 yards. He had 13 yards on average every time he caught a pass, and he had 3 touchdowns 2 years ago. And the reason that he's able to do this is that he has incredible plant foot and go speed. He's able to find holes and recognize where they are. He's a very patient runner, but he turns on the jets, and there are very few people on the field that can run anywhere close to as fast as he can. What sticks out in your mind, Vincent?
The school he went to, Delaware, that's produced Joe Flacco and Rich Gannon. I think their careers ended up real well. But most of all, is his explosiveness, electric, dynamic playmaker. And he can get from A to B with his quickness. And he brings me to all the great players. See, Harp, you play the game at a high level. And there's some of those players that got that speed that just get you on top of your seat. You gotta sit back and watch that grace. Gale Sayers, Desmond Howard, Rocket Ismail, Tariq Hill, Eric and Terry Metcalf, Johnny Rogers, David Palmer, young man that went to LSU, Trenton Holiday, from Zachary, Louisiana, same hometown, Mr. Doug Williams. This gentleman right here makes you get up out of the seat. Watching this film last night on YouTube, it's just the grace, how he glides. And how he can really, really be dangerous in space. And whatever team drafts him, he's going to be an excellent guy in a special team facet. Back to you, Hawk.
Yeah, he carries the ball kind of like Ezekiel Elliott did, you know, that real patented, it's real high, it's just under your chin when the ball is in front of him, and he doesn't bring it too far back. You can see in this picture here on the lower left that Logan put together for us that it's real tight, so he doesn't fumble a whole lot, not a lot of carry turnovers. He's a cutback threat on a zone offensive situation, right? He's a guy who's going to feel his way to the outside. And if he doesn't like it and sees a hole back against the grain, he's very good at finding that. He's been patient is one of the ways that he gets described. He has one cut explosiveness. He has elite speed, guys, and it's about 22 miles per hour is what he's been measured at. I'm sure they'll remeasure him at the combine, And between the 0 and the 40-yard line, I don't know exactly what it takes for that. Is that 4-4 or 4-3-5? Is that 4-3-2? Is that 4-2-8? Not sure exactly what the specifics are for each individual, but he'll be close to that. He glides when he's running, like Vincent said, and in one-on-one matchups, if you stick him out in the slot, you put him out there as a back outside the numbers, he's a nightmare because who's going to cover him? You're going to put a corner on him? All right, go ahead. Now you've got a mismatch somewhere else where a corner is not on one of my wide receivers. I got a linebacker. I got maybe a safety. So he's a mismatch guy that forces you to play a little bit different. If he lines up right next to a tight end or behind a back, you're going to have a linebacker, and quarterbacks will take that all day. Get the ball to him early, let him go out in the flat, and just watch him go. There are some things that he has as weaknesses, Vincent. His change of direction at top speed is a little bit deficient right there, but I think he can work on that. I don't know. You go full speed, you get it 80 yards, and then you got to make a move. Okay, we'll find a drill that we can get Marcus to do to be able to do that. He's played at a small school under a small program, so he doesn't have elite competition for you to compare him to. And his creativity as a runner, sometimes he will make a wrong mistake, and he'll go into where the traffic is as opposed to avoiding it. That happens with a lot of running backs, so I'm not really worried about that. But sometimes while he's being patient, he lets guys get a little bit too close. Next thing you know, there's 2 or 3 that are in the way, and that prevents him from making a big play. But other than that, it's off the charts, man. His upside potential, because of his speed, because of his athleticism, and because of his desire and want to, he'll be a day 3, day 4 guy, you know, 3rd, 4th rounder, excuse me. He won't be a top pick, but that's okay. He just wants to make somebody's roster. And even if he's a 5th rounder, he'll be a very, very pleasant surprise on somebody's roster. Vincent, final thoughts from you.
Game film this year, Rhode Island, 23 carries, 174 yards. As you said, Harp, he averaged 7.6 yards that game. Ben, you brought up ball security. I think this gentleman's only had in his career 2 fumbles. But most of all, I'm be looking forward and following this young man throughout the draft process, the Senior Bowl, the Combine, because I think this young man has something that's going to be very valuable to any NFL team. Atomic bomb, speed. Back to you, Hawk.
Yeah. Who doesn't need extra speed, especially on offense or special teams? And now with the punt and kick return rules the way that they are, and kick return especially, it'll be interesting to see if you just get a guy that's faster than everybody else and you just get one block on one side, you might be able to turn it into a touchdown. We haven't seen a lot in the NFL this first year, but once the coaches start to figure out where the holes are and how you can make something happen, you got a guy that can run fast like this. Sky's the limit for this young man. So Marcus Yarns, running back out of Delaware. Again, he's 5'11", which means he's probably 5'9 and a half, and he's about 185 pounds. He could put on a couple of pounds, get a little bit stronger. Weight room is not adverse to his world, but certainly a guy that Vincent is certainly impressed with. And after I get a chance to watch him, I am too. So for Logan Landers, our producer and engineer, for Vincent Turner, our scout, founder, and co-host, I'm Harper LaBelle saying thank you for tuning in to 100 Yards of Football, our draft prospect show. Have a fantastic day, everybody.